A tribute to Harry H. Corbett. Harry H. Corbett was the youngest of 7 children, was born in Rangoon in Burma, where his father, George Corbett, was serving as a company quartermaster sergeant in the South Staffordshire Regiment of the British Army. He was stationed at Cantonment as part of the Colonial Defence Forces. Corbett was sent to Britain after his mother, Caroline, died of dysentery when he was 18 months old. He was then brought up by his aunt, Annie Williams, in Earl Street, Aldwick, Manchester, and later on a new council estate in Wythenshawe. Corbett enlisted in the Royal Marines during the Second World War and served in the Home Fleet on the heavy cruiser HMS Devonshire. After VJ Day in 1945, he was posted to the Far East, where he was involved in quelling the unrest in New Guinea, and reportedly killed 2 Japanese soldiers there whilst engaged in hand-to-hand fighting. Upon returning to civilian life, Corbett trained as a radiographer before taking up acting as a career, initially in repertory. In early 1950 he added the initial H to avoid confusion with the television entertainer Harry Corbett, known for his act with the glove puppet Sooty. He joked H stood for Hennythink, a Cockney pronunciation of anything. From 1958, Corbett began to appear regularly in films, coming to public attention as a serious, intense performer. In contrast to his later reputation in sitcom, he appeared in television dramas such as The Adventures of Robin Hood. He played 4 characters in episodes between 1957 and 1960.
Help me to find the charter, and I'll share the reward.
Naturally, we should share the reward. Very well. It's a bargain. Why don't you let the old man see Lord Grenwold?
He might tell him where the charter's hidden.
Exactly what we want him to do.
What?
He won't tell you where it's hidden. He won't tell me. But unless he tells somebody before he dies, we shall never know where it is, shall we?
I never thought of that.
Just as well you sent for me. Now listen to me, Bascom, carefully, and do exactly what I say. Post a guard in the old man's room.
A guard, yes?
One of your own men whom you can trust. Then let it be known that anyone who wishes may visit Lord Grenwold.
In 1962, scriptwriters Galton and Simpson, who had been successful with Hancock's Half Hour, invited Corbett to appear in The Offer, an episode of the BBC's anthology series of one-off comedy plays, Comedy Playhouse, written by Galton and Simpson. He played Harold Steptoe, a rag and bone man who lives with his irascible widowed father, Albert, in a dilapidated house attached to their junkyard and stable for their cart horse, Hercules.
We now present the first episode in a radio series based on the world-famous BBC comedy success, Steptoe and Son. With Harry H. Corbett as Harold Steptoe.
Come on, you lazy, miserable, mangy, four-legged old clodhopper. All you think about is your oats. Yeah. Or that old buzzard at home will have had his dinner and gone off boozing down to Skinner's Arms.
Wilfred Bramble as Albert.
Where's that idle half-witted spawn of mine got to? Spends all his time enjoying the lovely open air. Never a thought for me, who's looked after him all his life, waiting at home. It's an hour after me dinner time already.
And here they are in The Offer, the story which introduced us to those remarkable scrap merchants, Steptoe and Son.
What's all this then? Have you been out all day just for this? All day just to collect this load of rubbish?
Oh, for God's sake, don't start that.
Didn't anybody know you was coming? Has the clapper on your bell gone or something? Or did you put slippers on the horse so nobody'd hear you?
Dad?
There. What you been doing, creeping round the streets? Cool blimey. 8 hours you've been out. I used to get more out of this than one house.
There ain't so much junk about these days.
Listen, son, if you don't shout out, they aren't going to come looking for you. You're going to bawl out. They're all in there listening to housewives. Sure as they can't hear you, creeping boy.
I was shouting. I've got a sore throat through shouting. I'm cold, so don't start.
Oh, we can't retire on this, can we? Bottles, empty bottles. Yeah. It's not good enough. A mattress. Who's going to sleep on springs like them? Oh, they jump out and bite you in the back. Oh, I know it says Steptoe and Son scrap merchants on them gates, but you've got to do better than this, Harold. I mean, look at it. Where's the lead? I told you especially to keep your eye out for lead.
Dad, there ain't no lead about.
And where's the brass? There ain't no brass here.
There ain't no brass about either.
There's brass about. There's always brass about. And lead, you've got to shout for it, though. If it ain't tied up in ribbons outside the front gate, you just don't want to know, do you? Go and feed the horse.
I'm going to.
That's another thing. You don't look after that horse. How can you expect to get around quick if the horse ain't in good nick?
Now, look, Dad, you looks after the yard, and I looks after the horse and cart, all right?
He don't get enough to eat. He's entitled to eat, that horse is, same as you and me. He's just as much part of the business as we are.
Oh, for God's sake, Dad, don't keep on about that horse.
He's a damn animal. He can't tell us when he's hungry.
Well, this one can. A greedy, hungry, gutted, great clod up.
You watch your language. Your mother didn't like it, and neither do I. You haven't learned it all fast, so don't come out with it.
Well, here's a greedy, hungry, gutted... Look, you say stop outside of their houses. I daren't stop. You get off, knock on the door, he's got half their edge inside of him.
The programme was a success, and a full series followed, continuing with breaks until 1974, when the Christmas special became the final episode. Although the popularity of Steptoe and Son made Corbett a star, it damaged his serious acting career, as he became irreversibly associated with Steptoe in the public eye. As a result, severe typecasting forced him to come back to the role of Harold Steptoe over and over. Before the series began, Corbett had played Shakespeare's Richard II to great acclaim. However, when he played Hamlet in 1970, he felt critics and audiences alike were not taking him seriously and could only see him as Steptoe. Corbett found himself receiving offers for only bawdy comedies or loose parodies of Steptoe. Production of the sitcom was stressed in the last few years, as Bramble was an alcoholic, often ill-prepared for rehearsals, forgetting his lines and movements. A tour of Steptoe and Son on stage was produced in Australia in 1977. It proved to be a disaster due to Bramble's drinking.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Steptoe and Son Down Under.
There's a funny smell in here. Oh, it's on the bottom of my wellies. Well, I trod my boots in. Oh, God. They shouldn't be allowed to keep kangaroos off there. That's insanitary, that is. Hang on. Just a minute. Yeah, koala bears, is that better? Is that nicer? Yeah. Yeah, it's marvellous stuff, this deodorant. I had my first mix-up with an Australian over this. I goes into a chemist. I said to this Australian chemist lady, I said, could I have a deodorant, please? She said, too right, you can. She said, do you want the roll-on ball type? I said, no, it's for under the arms.
During the tour, the pair appeared in character in an advert for Ajax soap powder.
What are you doing?
I'm watering the garden. I'm trying to clean the place up.
That ugly Maureen bird coming again, eh?
She's not ugly.
What's this stuff?
Ajax Creamy Cleanser. What's wrong with our other Ajax? Peter, there is nothing wrong with our other cleanser. This is a special creamy Ajax that cares for modern surfaces. Just look how clean and shining it keeps our recently purchased refrigerator.
Purchased, it fell off the back of a truck.
Finders keepers. I still use Ajax powder as well. You need something as powerful as Ajax powder to get right down to the dirt and clean up after you. But just look at that bath. Oh, you dirty old man.
Ajax will fix it, Harold. It's got double bleach.
Peter, a glorious home like ours needs both cleansers. Ajax creamy for the modern surfaces and Ajax powder for the tough jobs. And both on you.
Yeah.
Look, absolutely spotless.
And all for Maureen.
Ajax gets things ever so clean.
I still think she's ugly.
The television episodes were remade for radio, often with the original cast. It is these that were made available on cassette and CD. After the series of Steptoe and Son had officially finished, Corbett and Bramble played the characters again on radio in a newly written sketch to tie in with the Scottish team's participation in the 1978 World Cup, as well as in a television commercial for Kenco Coffee.
I brought Abigail home for a very quick democracy.
You dirty little devil.
That's a coffee.
Strange-looking beast.
That's my father. Oh, our horse. It is a Stubbs.
This Rembrandt.
And this is a lousy bed, Peter.
Low trick.
I'll make the coffee. Oh, that unmistakable aroma of Kenco traditional. Made from the very best Arabica beans, you know.
I show you my cigarette cards.
Takes two to Kenco. Abigail.
Traditional,
Abigail.
from Kenco, the real coffee experts.
The two men reunited in January 1981 for one final performance as Steptoe and Son in a further commercial for Kenco. The Curse of Steptoe, a BBC television play about Corbett and Bramble, was broadcast on the 19th of March 2008 on the British television channel BBC4, featuring Jason Isaacs as Corbett. The first broadcast gained the channel its highest audience figures to that date, based on overnight returns. Steptoe and Son led Corbett to comedy films as James Ryder in Ladies Who Do in 1963.
Morning, Sid.
See here.
Ah, you got my wire.
What's good about it? Yes, I got your wire. Would I have got up in the middle of the night to be here otherwise?
So you're lucky. I've been up all night in that blasted train. I couldn't get a sleep and no breakfast either.
Well, what's all the excitement about?
Poor McFarlane. He can't raise the money. He's dropping out.
Then Waldron's take-up a bid will fall through.
Not on your Nelly, it won't, mate. Sydney, my boy. You and I are going to make a bid to take over Waldron's properties.
On our own?
Sydney, you're so quick. The shares were down to 15 bob last night. We are going to offer Waldron £1. Cash.
£1? Cash? Jim Ryder, have you gone raving mad?
Where's that dumb blonde put that Waldron file? I've found her.
Look, as soon as I got that wire, I knew it meant trouble. Anyway, where the hell are we going to find the money?
Borrow it?
Borrow it? At 40%? Now I know you've gone mad.
Of course I have. You buy me breakfast. I'll explain why. Come on, we'll go to that cheap dump round the corner. It won't cost you so much.
£1. Cash.
With Ronnie Barker in The Barge, 1964, written by Galton and Simpson.
Do you like this sort of life?
What?
You know what I mean? It's a funny sort of way to live, isn't it? And there's not enough room on these things, is there?
How much room do you need, then?
Well, wouldn't you rather have a nice little house?
No.
Well, I suppose it's all right for you. You were brought up to it. You don't know any better. Don't know anything else. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not trying to be offensive.
Oh, no.
But I keep chickens in sheds bigger than these, if you know what I mean. Oh, you do them up nicely inside. They're a credit to you, they are, really, but... all right for a time, I suppose. Bit of a laugh. But you must agree much better to have a nice house with a couple of bedrooms, a lounge, fitted kitchen, bathroom, toilet.
Rates, mortgage, hire purchase, neighbours. Keep your voice down. Dig the garden, huh?
What the advantages of a civilised way of life, you must expect to make sacrifices, mustn't you? I just don't think it right in this day and age that people should live like you do.
Look, I don't come round to your house telling you ought to get a bigger one, do I?
I'm going to get a bigger one when I get promoted.
Good. If that's what you want, you're all right then.
It's what every normal person wants.
Well, perhaps I'm not normal. Perhaps I don't want to live in a row of potty little houses.
They are not potty little houses.
They are potty little houses.
You haven't seen mine?
I've seen yours 10 million times, all the way from London to Birmingham. You're the one I feel sorry for, mate.
Me? That's ridiculous. A waste of time talking to you. You can't help some people. They just don't want to improve themselves.
There were two Steptoe and Son films, Steptoe and Son in 1972 and Steptoe and Son Rides Again in 1973. In 1966 he appeared as a narrator in 4 episodes of the BBC television series Jackanory. And he also had the leading role in 2 other television series, Mr H, especially written for him in 1967, and Grundy 1980.
There's one ray of hope, Sharon. It's not in today's evening paper.
Didn't you see the stop press? Leonard Grundy divorced. Wife Vera went on sex rampage.
What? Where does it say that?
Dad, it's only a joke.
This is no time for jokes.
I'm sorry, but being divorced isn't the end of the world.
Why don't you get the station announcer to broadcast it all over the southern region? We interrupt this medley of Hawaiian favourites to tell you Leonard Grundy is divorced.
Anyone would think you were the first man whose wife was unfaithful.
Where you're going on, it's going to be on the news at 10. Sandy Gall. He'll make a meal of it. And here's tonight's headlines. Leonard Grundy is divorced. Him and Anna Ford sniggering as they shuffle their papers.
Corbett had a supporting role in the David Essex film Silver Dream Racer in 1980, and he also appeared in the film Hardcore in 1977. Corbett recorded multiple 45 RPM records, most of which were novelty songs based upon a rag and bone man character called Harry, You Love Her, and Junk Shop.
The old junk shop, the old junk shop. The old junk shop, the old junk shop. Why don't you pop in the old junk shop? All things nice at any old price. We even stock our wedding rice. We got a bed of brass, but it's really got class. If you want hardware, it's beyond compare. It's a soothing job to polish your snobs. You can have that bed for 15 bob. We got a how'd you do, but you could use to. But as I recall from the Hilbert Hall, it's as good as new. And when it's blown through, the old how'd you do plays a song to you. We got a Queen Anne chair, it's standing right there, that in many ways hath seen better days. With a real good clean, old Henny the Queen would have never know where her chair hath been. We got an old spittoon that's made for your room in the wildest west. It was used for best, but if you're ashamed of taking good aim, it's a nice cheap lot for a flower pot. The old junk shop, the old junk shop. Why don't you pop in the old junk shop? All things nice at any old price. We even stock our wedding rice. The old junk shop, the old junk shop. Who am I gonna get rid of 200 weight of second-hand wedding rice? It's not right, you know. All right, Corin the market, but what you do when you left for the old rice?
He recorded a number of sea shanties and folk songs in 1973. He recorded an album titled Only Authorised Employees to Break Bottles, which was a showcase of accents, with songs from Corbett in a range of accents including Liverpudlian, Brummie and Mancunian. The album was recorded in 1973 and released in 1974 on the Torquay Devon-based RA record label. Corbett married twice, first to the actress Sheila Stiefel from 1958 to 1964, and then to actress Maureen Blott, stage name Crombie, from 1969 to 1982, with whom he had 2 children, Jonathan and Susanna.
My father, Harry H. Corbett, was a very shy man. He'd never leave the house without sunglasses and hats, to try and disguise himself, which was pointless really, because he was Harold from Steptoe and Son, which was the most watched show on British TV.
Come on, Dad! It's Christmas morning! Jingle bell, jingle all the way! Come on, stop sticking in that pit, we've got work to do!
Well, Steptoe was well underway by the time I was born, and Harry used to read the scripts to us. It's how my brother and I learned how to read quite often. And but his voice when storytelling, he was a great storyteller, but his voice was entirely different from the one in Steptoe.
No, I think what you would say is the outside world has changed. The permissive age has gone further along the line, and we've just adapted with it. That's about all you can say. But our relationship still stays the same.
Harry's first and real strength was as a classical actor. In fact, he was called by the critics, they called him an actor of genius, which isn't bad. And he was down at Bristol doing Macbeth when the very first Steptoe script lumped through the letterbox, and he read it. He said, delicious, delightful, cannot wait to work on it. It was hard to know how huge Steptoe was, but it was everywhere. We were on the holiday in Greece in a little taverna up in the mountains. Walked in, and there on the telly, there's Steptoe. And it was like, and all the locals, he's Steptoe. And I think they were quite disappointed that he couldn't actually speak Greek to them, because of course he was dubbed in the programme. He didn't know Greek.
And she has written a biography of her father, The Front Legs of a Cow, which was published in March 2012. Corbett was a Labour Party campaigner and appeared in party political broadcasts and was a guest of Prime Minister Harold Wilson. The television character Harold Steptoe appears as the Labour Party secretary for Shepherd's Bush West in the 6th series episode Tea for Two in 1969. Corbett appeared as Harold Steptoe in a Labour Party political broadcast where Bob Mellish had to argue against Steptoe's accusation that all parties are the same. As the Prime Minister, Harold Wilson wished to have Corbett appointed an Officer of the Order of the British Empire, OBE, but the middle H was lost in the process and the award went to the sooty puppeteer Harry Corbett instead. Both were eventually included in the same New Year's Honours List on the 1st of January 1976. A heavy smoker all his life, Corbett had his first heart attack in September 1979. According to his daughter, he smoked 60 cigarettes a day until the heart attack, after which he cut down to 20. He appeared in the pantomime at the Churchill Theatre, Bromley, within 2 days of leaving hospital. He was then badly hurt in a car accident. He appeared shortly afterwards in the BBC detective series Shoestring, with his facial injuries obvious.
Like a wood. Tyres are very bad for grass, you've left tracks.
Yeah, well, it's the issue here. Nobody's to interfere if we should get quarrelsome. You see what I mean?
Sorry, I don't see what you mean.
Well, let's say Ralph and you had a disagreement. Right, Ralph?
Even a minor disagreement.
And so you took it upon yourself to chastise him a little. You wouldn't want busy bodies butting in, would you?
Yeah, now I see what you mean.
Good. So let's get down to business. The business you are currently engaged in. You think that Dennis and young Junie are still around here somewhere, right?
Don't know where they are.
We intend to find out.
I've been asked to do so by June's mother, yeah.
Who is my daughter? Yeah, we had words about you this morning. She told me you'd accepted the case. You are going to need help, Mr. Shoestring. Who better qualified than Ralphie and myself?
Corbett's final role was an episode of the Anglo television ITV series Tales of the Unexpected, entitled The Moles.
What the hell's the meaning of this?
Can I ask you the same question? I happen to be in the middle of dictating a letter.
I don't care what you're doing. Is this the sort of letter you send to a friend?
Will you excuse us a moment, my dear? Now look, George, I think I know what's upsetting you.
You think you know? Dear Mr. Balsam, since when have I been Mr. Balsam to you? Dear Mr. Balsam, unless you can settle in closed account. On November 28th, I shall feel compelled. Do I have to go on? Your best customer for 30 years. Your friend for the last 40.
But, George, you ignored my earlier letters and my phone call.
Well, damn it, man, I'm going through a difficult time. The whole country.
And I'm not.
It featured a man who planned to tunnel into a bank, only to find the bank was closed due to the industrial action and there was no money in the vaults. Filmed shortly before his death, it was broadcast 2 months later in May 1982. Corbett died of a heart attack on the 21st of March 1982 in Hastings in East Sussex. He was 57 years old. He was buried in a graveyard at St Michael the Angels Church in Penhurst, East Sussex. Corbett is commemorated in the name of the Corbett Theatre at the East 15 Acting School at Loughton, which was founded by Margaret Barry and Jean Newlove, two members of the theatre workshop where he worked. A tribute to Harry H. Corbett.